Well, hello, wealthy women. It is Coach Tamara with another beautiful and inspiring, beautiful interview today. I'm so excited to share this with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Please tell us who you are, what you do, why it matters so much to you, and how people can get in touch with you. I'm so excited to have everyone learn about your beautiful mission and your story.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Andrea B. Denney. I'm a caregiver legacy continuance award-winning fine art photographer, a published author, and I was a caregiver for 17 years of my marriage of 20. He was very, very sick for a very long time. And so I know what it costs to love someone that deeply, and I know because I lived it. Um, 2 months before he passed away, we were doing home hospice. And the reason why I do this is I was doing it practically alone um, for over 6 months. I was doing it with hardly any sleep, like 1 hour a night, um, because he was up and down. He had cardiovascular dementia because of the illnesses that he had. He had 21 surgeries since 2015. We went through every possible disease and cancer, and you name it, we went through it. Um, and so it was a hard road. Um, but I was told in the midst of all of that, about 2 months before he passed away, that I didn't matter. I needed to put my full and everything into him like I wasn't already. All I was doing was trying to get down the road a quarter mile to go see my psychiatrist. And I was told that I needed to quit being selfish. So my whole aspect of this is to help the caregivers to never feel like that. Like I felt I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anyone that understood why there was a fire in me that had to fight for my way to live. Um, because in that moment, you're broken already. You don't have anything in your cup. You are fighting for everything that you do to get done for that person. And then to be told those words, I um I fought back. I fought back because I had a choice. I could either, it's hard, but I could either go with them or I could fight for my life. As a caregiver, I knew that part was ending. I was going to lose my identity. I had been a caregiver for 17 years, and I was going to lose that whenever he passed. Pre-grief is bad enough, but you can't get ready for the grief whenever that person passes. Um, what you can do is fill up your cup as much as possible while you can. So I fight for the caregivers. I don't believe in move on after they pass away. I believe you move with their legacy, you move with their everything that they built into you because you were with them for so many years or for those important times. Those are the things you move with. You do not move forward with the grief that heals in its own way and its own time. But what we do is we move with that legacy, and that legacy continuance is that method that I created. And so I created the legacy continuous method to be able to help caregivers to not only move on, not move on, but move with, rather, to not only help them heal, but give them that non-shame that follows whenever someone is told you need to move on, because that closes that door. There is no such thing as moving on. You carry that with you. It is who you are. And so instead, we train people to move with. I'm not only an award-winning photographer or fine art photographer, but I'm also, I have 6 books. I have facilitators guides. I have built all of this in 2 years. And I do speaking gigs. I really want this to really take hold in our communities because our communities are, you tell a caregiver to move on and just close that door, and it's a shame, and the grief and all that stays because they feel like they're letting down that loved one and forgetting about them. And that's not okay. That's not okay. That has to change in our system, in our way of handling things. In different parts of the world, it's a totally different way. And I want that to change for here as well, here in America, because we are ostracizing our caregivers. They are forgotten. They are left with nobody but a higher power if that's what they have to hold on to, like I did. So yeah, I created all this so that nobody else had to go through it themselves. There's a an app on the website that is able to walk you through each one of the books. The facilitators guides are run through there. There's a journal. There's a way to keep loved ones your loved ones care, medicines, doctor's visits, everything is in there that you could possibly need. And it just helps to, whenever we're going through the hardships, whenever we don't have our cups are running dry, you need that kind of thing to keep everything straight. And so that's what I created. I didn't have this, so I created it for you, for everybody that needs it. And you can find it at AndreaBDenneyStudios.com. Andrea, B as in boy, Denney, Denney, studios with an S at the end.com. So that's what I do.
Wow. I mean, it is so beautiful and heart-wrenching. It's so important what you're saying about who takes care of the caregiver, right? The caregiver takes
Exactly.
care of the patient, the person that they love who's hurting. And we're talking about not the official caregivers in hospital settings and so forth. We're talking about all of us that will be affected by people that we love that are going through a tough stage or leaving, and then all that goes into that feeling. And this is for every single one of us on the planet. Unfortunately, we will all
Exactly.
go through this, and that is such a devastating, trying time. And to know that you have taken your pain and experience and created something that can help others to make sure that their cups are still full, or at least half of the way full, so that they can operate, that they have some structure and systems in place so they don't have to worry about all that on top of all the other things that are going on. And I love the fact that the way of, maybe it is just, a lot of people are saying, you need to move on because they see someone hurting, and it's their way of trying to encourage them through that pain, because it hurts when we see other people hurting, right? But I
Exactly.
think that using that terminology, move on, is, we could say, let's move with. I think that's a beautiful, just a little shift in the way that language can feel less severe, right? And
Like,
removed.
yes, and
And
with that is their legacy has created who you are
yes,
because it's their
absolutely.
laughter, their
Everything.
even person that they were that you
Yeah.
have loved and poured into, that has
Yeah.
created who we are today,
Yes.
not
Yes.
15 years ago. You don't go back to the beginning, or you don't go back to the person you were, because that person has changed in identity after they
Yeah.
pass. So there's
Yeah.
no going back, there's no moving on. You
Yeah.
have to create something positive out of their legacy that they gave
Mm.
into your legacy and move that on forward, right?
Yes.
Not so you're moving with their legacy into the new person that you're becoming, and that becomes your legacy that you spread to others. It's just that little bit of almost like a pay it forward kind of thing, where you
You know,
take it in
yeah,
and you really, this is who you are, the essence of who
yeah,
you are.
yeah,
Why, why give that up for a
yeah,
move on? You know what I mean? That door closing, it just shuts off so many years
yeah,
that has created who you
yeah.
are. And
I
that means
agree.
that not only did they lose their identity, but now the outside people, not meaning to, have closed the door moving forward for them as
Yeah,
well. And it's hard.
yeah.
It's very hard.
I love that also when you using the term moving with, because it feels like, oh, it's a transition, not an ending. And it makes
Exactly.
it less painful and bordering on the hopefulness that you can still carry that with you no matter what. It's still obviously not the same, and there's still so much pain to go with that, but it is like a comma at the end of a sentence rather than a period, and that is
Exactly.
very important. And I know so many of us, I mean, this is for loss in general. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure that there's plenty of us out there, myself included, that consider our fur babies our
Yeah.
loved ones, and that
Yeah.
even that loss can be so painful, that you can even the psychology, the way you want people to kind of feel into that legacy is so
Yes.
valuable and beautiful, and the structures that you put in place. And I also, we talked before, and we talked about the beautiful art that you're doing as well. Do you want to share a little bit about that, which is
So
just
of
exceptional?
course, yeah. I have two main high ticket offers, and my offer for the first one is voice preservation. So it's up to 10 minutes of digital voice that you've got on your phone, you've got it on your voicemail, you've got it on some kind of cloud somewhere where there's videos that you guys took through the years. All those digital files, I take that and I do not AI their voice like others do. I create their voice in a up to 10-minute area to create that voice preservation. And that goes into the next, which is the Legacy Continues Archive. And that's where everything really shines together. So the voice preservation will be put in, first of all, you get 5 years of cloud service from me so that you know it's safe. It doesn't go silent for that second last silence. Because what's the first thing we lose? We lose the voice, right? Our sound of those that we loved. And that dysregulates the system. So to get that under control and get you ready for the archive, I decided to create a way that preserves that as well. And then that can go in either a keepsake for you to play whenever you need, or you can put it into the art that I do. I do a fine art photography piece that is on their legacy, not the person themselves, not the portrait, but their legacy. Say Grandpa was sitting out on the porch every day and he was whittling every morning, so we watched the sunrise come up, and that's what really the family remembers, like his joy in that next day because he was able to do that. That's his legacy he left to them. So I will take a photograph, either black and white. We do some color, but black and whites are more my forte. And yeah, we take a picture of that area, and and that way, the family always has that in gallery grade. So it is either in acrylic or it is in metal, so that it doesn't fade. It doesn't get all, because sometimes other kinds of photography can fade. I refuse to let my caregivers feel like they are losing them again. So instead, what I do is I put, it's going to be in the back of the photograph that you have, as well as the keepsake. And so that there's going to be a way that you can push a button and listen to it. And so think about that. All those legacies that that your loved one got built into one photograph. You can hear their voice whenever you need regulation because you're feeling like you're missing them in the voice, right? And that regulates the system so you don't go into fight or flight again, feeling like you did something wrong, the shame that we feel, right? And so instead, you have this ability, and your grandchildren, your great grandchildren will know the legacy of that loved one, and that carries on all the way through them. It's a generational art, so that way that person gets remembered.
And honored, and honored as
Yes,
well.
exactly.
Yes, I
That
love this.
legacy is an honor that keeps going. Yes, exactly.
I know for everyone listening, this is a very, very tender and sensitive subject, but
Yeah.
this is something we all have to pay attention to, and
Yeah.
to be able to take care of ourselves properly so that we can be the best for that person that we're taking care of, as well as make sure that we're not, you know, depleting ourselves to the point where that's not healthy either. And then to have those other options of, memorializing and legacy, and having it continue on. It's meant in such a beautiful, positive, hopeful sense of continuation. And
Yeah.
definitely I understand that this is um, not an easy subject for anyone listening or anyone who might be experiencing something right now. So please know we understand and empathize. And I just think that this is an important interview because it touches everybody, and at some point, and to know that Andrea here has created something that might really speak to you or be able to assist you and help you in the process. Um, this
Because
is
we help all the way from the beginning of caregiving with book one all the way to after the goodbye, which is book
right.
three.
Yep.
And then we have a solid, um, there is a conglomerate of all three books written differently. It's almost in prose. So it helps to get the focus on what those portions were in those books
Yeah.
and puts it almost in a thought by
Mm.
thought by
Mhm.
thought. And so you have that pause to really
Yes.
think on and really put that to motion. And so that's going to be coming out pretty soon within the month. And on top of that, we have it's such a beautiful thing to watch a caregiver go from beginning of burnout and overwhelm all the way to,
Yes.
the all and I because it's such a demanding thing on me, emotionally as well as the people that are going through it. We only do 5 archives this season. So every quarter, we only do 5 archives, um, the full package, because it is a 12-week course of getting the things in order, getting the legacy understood, getting the voice preservation done. It's a very intensive time. And the other
Absolutely.
thing is there's an application process. Why? Because I need to make sure that the caregiver that's wanting this done has done the healing work first, because we do
Right.
not do
Right.
a grief pulling thing that
Yeah.
keeps it there. This is a
Right.
healing stage. So we have to
Yes.
make sure they've gotten to that stage before we do the legacy archive, because that is to help guide you as their legacy, not as a grief token that holds on to that. So for their safety, their understanding, and their wholeness that they can have again, um, we do that for their safety, not because I'm,
Yeah.
trying to hold back or anything like that, but that's a lot on me and it's a lot on them. So for their safety, that's why we do that.
It's meant to be a proper transformation, and
Exactly.
ability and ability to receive the next step of that
Yes.
journey. And so
Yeah.
I just, so often I speak with a lot of women who, for the most part, many of us, I find, we're in all different fields, but we typically have come upon something where we hit our own roadblock and we found a way to figure it out. And then once we figured it out, we just felt this joyfulness of wanting to share and help others, right? Like that pay it forward experience. And there's so many of the women, beautiful women that I interview, they have, similar experience where they hurt over something or something wasn't going right and they fixed it. And then they created businesses so that they could help others with this. And I have some
Exactly.
beautiful stories and I love this. And that's why, because then, the woman who has this business is so um anchored into her mission in life that's not really like a business. It is a business, but it's her soul's purpose, right? I mean, she'll
Exactly.
never quit it. She will do what she can to help, and of course she needs a successful business so she can continue to help. So
Yes.
I love the whole experience, that we take the broken bits and it's like a mosaic. We turn them
Yes.
into something beautiful, right? And then share that mosaic with the world. And I just want to say before we get into the success questions and change a little bit of the tone, I just want to say that your husband must be so beautifully proud of you to take that experience that you had journeyed through to create something that has become not only a blessing for yourself but a blessing to others. So, well done with taking pain and turning it into a power. So
Thank
that's
you. And
really
it
a
truly
success
is a
story right
mission.
there.
Yeah, it
Yes,
truly is a mission.
absolutely.
That is something that whenever you're pulled to do something, you're called, right? And you
Yes.
need to meet that because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a Jonah. I don't want to be in the whale.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Mhm.
you get pulled to do something that's this intensive, you just
Yeah,
do it,
that's right.
And so
Yep.
that's exactly how it felt. It felt like I was pulled to, since it wasn't there for me, make it there for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to switch into the success questions round. So this really is so many women that are listening to the podcast or however they're finding my work, they are either already in their business journey or possibly just about starting it. And they feel a lot of the times they are alone in that situation or issue they're having. And I love these success questions because when they listen to the podcast, for example, they'll be like, oh, wow, she went through that too. Okay, then I'm not alone. Then if she could do it, I can do it. And the whole thing is meant to inspire and let that woman know that she's not alone. So I tend to ask questions that may come up in her mind or just inspiring things to keep that motivation going. So, one of the first things I'll start with, because I think, how we do our daily days really does, for the most part, dictate our successes in life. And I always find that most women have some sort of routines. It doesn't mean it has to be a 2 hour morning routine, it could be a 2 minute thing, but there's things that kind of ground them to start their day properly. So, what are your empowering routines? I call them wealthy woman habits. What do you do every single day that if you miss it, you feel a little bit off and you can feel it and like, and you just wish you would have done it?
I have a couple.
Yep.
Business wise, it's my cake. I make my 3-layer cake every day. Something I have to do for me, something I have to do for others, and something I have to do that's moving the needle in my business. And so that's my cake. I make sure to hit those three. Those are given. They have to be done that day. Anything else is the icing on the cake, right?
Can you give
It's
us
extra.
an example of the 3 layer cake? I love this because I have a chef's background, by the way, and so anytime we can use metaphors that relate to food, I am all about that.
So yeah, that's number one. I do that every morning, every morning. That way the most important things get done and everything else, we help. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so give me an example of, you have the others, and one thing to move your business forward. So, what's an example of how you do something for yourself every day?
Every morning I have my coffee and that coffee time is with my Lord. I spend that with God. And that is either in the word or it is something, some kind of meditation of that scripture that I went over the day before, something that hit me, but I'm always somehow grounding myself in that because that's where my strength came from. No, it's not of me. This whole thing was not of me. There is no way I could have came up with all of this, but in 2 years. But I've been guided the
Yeah,
whole way. The right people have fallen into my path. The right things have happened because I put that first.
I love
Always
that.
that first. Yeah.
Yes. To be of
And
service, really. And then
yeah,
so then
exactly.
your second layer, when something that you do for someone else, I'm sure of course it changes all the time, but maybe a little example.
So sometimes it's where someone is needing something, especially in my congregation, maybe they're needing something that I can provide. Then I offer. The other aspect to that is, I'm sorry, is I go door to door with my ministry, many hours a month. And so I created a way for them to still get what they need as far as my clients, um, and still be able to do what I do that's important to me as well. Because I need to pour into my cup, especially in this kind of a
Absolutely.
business,
Yes.
because the stories are hard.
Hard. Yeah,
But you have
absolutely.
to empathize with them, and I can because I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to pour into others because you get more in giving than you do in receiving, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
you to do that, it builds you up. It doesn't necessarily pour out of you.
Right.
The little
Exactly.
bit that you may give, you are gaining so much in
Yes.
return.
I
So,
agree. I agree. And then the last one, what is an example of something that you might do to build your business every day?
so the needle movers, I hate the word needle movers, but I have to use them because that's what everybody else knows them as. So I do my best. I'm not perfect, but I do my best to not get on the phone first thing in the morning
Mhm.
because that gets you in email mode or doom scrolling. So I don't want that being the first thing that I do. So instead, I find, through my cake analogy, I find something the day before that I'm going to work on that next day. That's something that can provide a way towards my income going up so that I can help more. Right. So
Absolutely.
that's those needle movers that I was
I
talking
love
about.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Perfect.
how I come up with that.
I love that. I love the three-layer cake idea because it's a great mnemonic, great metaphor, and yeah, it just kind of keeps you in tow and it really covers everything. So,
Yeah.
okay, let me ask you about comfort zones. Tell me why you think it's important to get out of your comfort zone. What can
I love
happen
this.
when
I
you
love this
do?
because Carrie, oh my goodness. Comfort zones. Okay, so there is no straight line in business. Period. There is no straight line in business. So those that come into business and thinking that it's just going to be, one directional, it isn't. It's a roller coaster ride. And so you always have this down section here where you get to the bottom. That's your comfort zone. You're not learning in your comfort zone. You're not growing in your comfort zone. So you have to find a way to get to either learning something, doing something, learning something about yourself, others, something, reading a book, whatever it takes to get you out of that rut and back up on the roller coaster. Because each time you go up is a learned lesson that grows you further. And so I do not believe in staying in comfort zones. If I hit one, it may be for a little while. Um, but I do not stay there. I'm not comfortable in my comfort zone
I
because
love
of that.
that. One of the things I always say is get comfortable with the uncomfortable, like
Yes.
because that's how you grow. I absolutely agree with it. And it also it's so nice to when you get a chance to go through some sort of it's not discomfort, it's growth. When you get to go
Yes.
through that growth and you look back and you're like you get to be like so impressed like wow, did I do that? Did I create that? And I
And
actually
each
just
one of
had this
those things that you're
experience.
learning, you're
Yes.
helping others because you can do
Yes.
that now because you
Yes.
learned the lesson. And that
Yes.
lesson others need. they're coming to you because you're the person that's lived it or done it or gotten out of that rut and was able to surpass it. And
Yes.
that's one of those things. And I'm not sure if I'm getting ahead of you, but there's a brick wall all the time. All
Yeah.
the time you hit that brick wall. You got to find a way over, under, around, through, whatever, because that brick wall is not there to stop you. It's to teach you how
Yes.
to implement something, um, to put into your life so you can help others do the same.
Yes. And I also think it's a great litmus test too, because if you find your natural inspiration, now you may need a couple beats to relax and rest and get your power. But if you find yourself naturally trying to figure out how do I get over this and through this or above this or whatever, that's a pretty good sign that you are in the business you're meant to be in because
Yes,
you can't not do something.
exactly.
You have
Yeah,
to. It's like it that thing you were talking about before where you're being pulled towards it. It wasn't even you, it chose you rather than in a way you chose it.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
You will know that. And then I would only say that if some of you are struggling with the idea that, is this business for me? I would always say, if you're if your only motivation is that it can be a moneymaker, that is not going to be the long-term energy you need. It'll get you through a little bit, but you're not going to like the journey if that is the only thing that's motivating you. You have to have that soul knowing feeling that this is your mission. You were led to help be of service in some way.
Because then nothing stops you.
It will move
Nothing
mountains.
stops.
Absolutely. It will move mountains. And so I do, if you're feeling that, like you are so in the right career path for yourself. If you are not feeling motivated continuously to kind of over just say that's a good thing too, but maybe go back, take time with yourself and really assess, if this is going to be your forever work, is that going to be enough for you? Is that going to,
Right.
because like you said, it's a roller coaster. It's it's a lot more hard, but it's a good hard because it's the kind that makes you grow and
It's
develop,
worth
and
it.
it's
It's
so
worth
worth
it.
it. It's a totally
Yes.
different kind of difficult. It's a
Yes.
difficult with a big bonus prize at the end or during the
Exactly.
journey, right? So anyway, I had to just say that because I think sometimes there was even, maybe many of us can relate to this. When I think about what I am capable to do and turn it into a business and make good money at it, I could fill out a couple pages.
Yeah.
And that's great. I love that I have some skill sets there. But then because you really want to focus and do one thing and one thing well continuously, because that's how you also avoid the overwhelm. If you try and do everything, and
Oh,
trust,
it's too much. Yes,
I've been
exactly.
there. I've tried to do multiple things at once. For me, it doesn't work. I don't multitask. I am proud to say I don't multitask. I think it's, for me, blinders on, just go forward. And that really does take all
It's
that
like an inch
overwhelm.
wide, a mile deep versus
Yeah,
a
it's
mile wide, an inch deep, right?
absolutely, absolutely so important. And so, yeah. So, anyway, I just wanted to kind of get into that a little because I know that happens a lot, especially when you're in the beginning and you have a desire to grow a business. And then you start thinking, well, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do this. And then you start creating, and 6 months goes by, and you created this amazing thing. And then you learn, wait, that's actually not enjoyable to me. It's not really what I
Right.
want to do. And then you have to kind of go back. So just take this, if any of you are listening and are at that kind of weird in between moment, um, slow down and really assess it. There's time for you to create your dream business. Just make sure you're on the right road,
Nothing
you know?
styled in, right?
Yes,
Everything has its time. I call them
yes.
lily pads
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I
yeah, that's
went through
great.
so many options because
Yep,
I'm capable of a lot. And
yep,
so I did. I went through many businesses, many options
yeah,
to get to this point, but it was all
absolutely.
to grow what I have now. So those
Absolutely.
lily
Nothing's
pads
lost.
were my
Yeah,
learning experience and my
exactly.
my learning under fire. And then
Hmm.
whenever I went through what I went through with my husband, it was a fire that got built up that I didn't
Yes.
need to do
Yes.
everything, but at the same time, I knew what to tell the others to do because I already learned that as well.
Exactly.
And so you take
Everything's
that into your
preparing
new
you.
business. Yeah, yeah. You take
Exactly.
that into
Everything's
your mission.
preparing you for your next moment. So,
Exactly.
but if we can quantum leap that a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, you learn from others that are already doing it well. Yes,
Exactly,
exactly.
exactly. That's kind of like what this whole thing that I'm trying to do here is about is to capture other people's experiences, mine included, and
Hmm.
share that so it resonates and it becomes that, oh, okay. And then, if we can save someone a little time or make the journey easier or more soulful based, then yes, let's do that. That's what that whole women empowerment means to me is let's like rally for
Each
each
other
other.
up, we'll pull
Exactly.
in together because it is a very lonely and
Yeah,
misunderstood world because a
absolutely.
lot of times we are the only entrepreneur in our life.
Absolutely.
You have family that are doing a job, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you're pulled to be an entrepreneur, it doesn't get understood sometimes by those that don't
Absolutely.
have the entrepreneurial spirit. And because of
Absolutely.
that, we get misunderstood a lot. Or they're like, oh, trying to protect you by saying, oh, well, you need to dial it down a little bit and go this way because this way you can make money now and then you can put it into that sometime later. it,
Hmm.
it's a different world. And so for us to be around people that we get understood by as other entrepreneurs, that's why what you're doing is an amazing situation because you are not only giving each one of us the knowledge that we're not alone, but you're also creating a path for those of us to really connect and get with those other entrepreneurials, that you're just doing a wonderful job. So just keep at it. That's what I gotta say.
Thank you so much. That means everything to me. And that is my soulfully led mission is really that. And I love that you mentioned that because for all of you listening, it is most common to have your immediate family and friends think you're a little crazy and
Right.
not understand you, maybe not even want to try to understand what you're doing because they're busy doing their own thing, which is great, but it can knock you down and make you think that you're on the wrong path when you're not. You just have to make sure you're choosing the right audience when you're talking about what you're doing. And that is, that's what we're saying here. Get into
Yeah.
communities with other entrepreneurs where this makes total sense for them.
Yeah.
And then you will not feel alone and you'll realize, oh, okay, there is, there are definitely different people doing different things in the world and we can't be understood by everybody. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
There's
totally
nothing wrong
okay.
with them doing that. It's that they
Nothing.
just don't
Exactly.
understand how we
Exactly.
tick, right?
Exactly.
Versus that our missions, our values, sometimes they are outside of the corporate life.
Yes. Yep.
And we don't fit
Absolutely.
there as well. If you're
Yes.
into that entrepreneurial spirit,
Oh
you're
yeah.
almost like feeling like you're
Trapped.
stifled in the
Yes,
corporate life.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
get me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a rebel and a defiance I find that comes in many of us entrepreneurs, and that should be celebrated because we are trailblazers. I can't even talk, trailblazers, and there is a need for trailblazers in this world. There is a need for some people to not want to have everything defined. Um,
Yeah.
and everything set up so structured. It is a great thing that there is because both both sides
Both are
are
needed.
blessings.
Yes.
Yes,
There's
we and
it's
it's
not
just
one
different.
over the other. It
Exactly.
is
It's just
both
different.
needed in
Hmm.
society
Both.
to thrive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I would just say that, if you are feeling isolated or you feel like nobody is understanding your business, just shift and find a new crowd to talk to because I promise you, you're not doing um you need to follow what works for you properly, and it's great to have advice, and there's lots of good advice that is worth taking in, and like you said earlier, these everybody just really probably wants the best for us, and just because they don't understand it, it doesn't mean they're coming from a bad place at all. So just find your audience is all I would say. So Okay, back to the questions. What would be your number one professional tip for women to grow their businesses?
My number one tip would be consistency.
Oh yeah.
Consistency is the hardest thing we have to do because life is so busy, things happen, but you need consistency to thrive in any business, be it the unfun things like doing the books, being, doing the outreach, whatever that nobody likes doing, but the money is in the consistency. And
That
so you have to learn that habit in any business. Otherwise, it's because it's not always fun. It's not always new. It's not always that dopamine hit. Sometimes it really, really, really doesn't seem fun. But those moments are also growing you. And so, but the consistency is the key.
I agree. And what's nice though about that is there is still that flexibility because let's say you have to do some sort of report. Maybe if you had a normal job, you'd be told that, okay, at 2 o'clock, you need to do this report until 6 o'clock. But, you being your own boss, maybe you could just say, hey, I'll do it at 10 p.m. tonight after my favorite show is over. So, like, you get to still have that flexibility. And that is something that I know so many women business owners love is that choice. I'll
Yeah.
tell myself when I have my lunch break. I'll tell myself when I go on a vacation or when I have to do a project. And that is very important for the majority of us entrepreneurs who want to decide when, where, how, instead of being, told that by another person because we
Yeah,
could tend to be
exactly. Like
rebels.
I work, and we've talked about this before, is I work at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm in doctors the rest of the day, or I'm out and, door to door. So to be able to do what I do is not on a normal
Yeah,
cohesive 9 to 5. It wouldn't work that way. I could not have a 9 to 5 job because I'm at the doctor's from 9 to 5 most days.
right.
So, even for myself, because like I
Yeah,
said, if he wasn't sick or something, I was.
yeah,
So it gives me that flexibility to, number one, be able to work. And number two, be able to work in a way that fits my life, not somebody else's, my life, because I had to build this so many options and opinions through the
yeah,
years, and I realized I can't live their life. They're not my box. My
exactly.
box has its own issues in it, and I have to live within those terms, right?
Yes,
The
exactly.
the boundaries, and those boundaries for me change moment to moment. But I
Yeah.
use that flexibility as an entrepreneur to keep going.
It's so interesting that you say this. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I just went through this major thing where it was complete new and I was learning and growing. And it was so difficult, but I was so inspired and I came out of it at the other side. It's a new thing I'm adding into my business that I can't even looking back. I started one day not knowing anything about this, and now I'm at the other side of it about like 10 days, 2 weeks later. And I'm like, oh my goodness, did I do all that? And it's interesting because like my personal schedule, like I'll have a fairly consistent routine, but I have learned for myself. I don't know this for all women business owners, but I will just at least share it. I have learned that when inspiration hits me that big. Like it is just like I am so inspired to have gazillion amounts of energy. I have to ride it out. It's not something that
Yes.
I can contain. I spent during this, let's say, 10-day process, there were at least 5 nights that I was up till about 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I normally go to bed about 10:30, so I just couldn't stop. This wasn't something that I could say, okay, I'm going to stop here and I'll pick it up tomorrow at my normal hours. And it's that instinct of this is a momentary thing. Ride it out. It's like that artist, like you're
Yeah.
creating, you're in the creative zone, and you just have to go with it. And you'll get your sleep in a little bit later and figure it out because it's not forever. And, so if there's any of you that experience this like me, and it happens a couple times a year, I would say it's not like an all the time thing because these are usually big projects that I'm like so inspired to give to my clients or future clients. And I just get so excited. Right. And so I love that. Do you have those moments too where you're like, you know what? I normally put my computer down at 6 o'clock, but I'm so in the zone that I'm just like going for it.
I wrote my first book in 24 hours.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
Exactly.
because
You
whenever you're
have to ride
inspired to
it.
get it down, because you
Yes.
implement right away,
Yes.
that's the difference between an entrepreneur and someone that's wishing to have an
Yes.
entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
attitude and implementation. Because whenever we write it down, that's starting this to
Yeah.
create the actual aspect of it.
Yeah.
But our implementation right away is what builds it into doing, right? You've got it in your
Absolutely.
head, it goes to your heart, it gets that you do it with your
Yes.
hands.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love this. I love this. I think, and it's the most fun thing when it happens. It's like you are like so in the zone. I'm talking, sometimes you're in your pajamas all day, but you don't care because you are on a mission and you are getting it done. Right. And so,
Exactly.
to anyone who is experiencing that or may in the future, just go with that because that is genius that is being downloaded into you that you are
Yeah.
meant to create something from so that you can give it to the world. So, oh my God. Okay. Let's see. Last question. How do you define success?
For me, it's not money. It's not the time frames of doing things or the flexibility even. For me, success is bringing in an income large enough for me to live on, but surpassing that by giving back. Not just in my business, what I do day to day with the caregivers, but giving back. And I mean that by helping out my community, helping out my congregation, helping, those kind of things that may not, yes, I could probably keep a little bit more for me, but that's not why I do this. It's not the money. I'm not in this for the money. I only do that so that I can do this. And so success to me is being able to give back way more than God ever gave me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, I knew this was going to be a beautiful interview. Thank you so much for sharing. Before we sign off, please go ahead and spell out your website again so that people can
Sure.
find you and learn more about your work.
So it's at Andrea B. Denney Studios, Andrea, B as in boy, D as in dog, Enney, studios with an S on the end, .com.
Uh, Thank you for what you're doing,
Thank
what
you.
you are doing to help all of people that need this. And it's such a beautiful thing that you created. So really well done with what you're doing. So thank you so
Thank you.
much for being here and sharing and inspiring others to go for their dreams and sharing the business journey, and letting everyone know that, these little roller coaster moments, ride it, have fun, put your hands up and enjoy the ride. So,
That's right. That's right.
right.
Thank
All
you
right.
so
So
much.
thank you so much. Okay, I told you, you beautiful, wealthy women, that this was going to be an inspiring, sensitive, but also so fulfilling and inspiring interview. So please go and do what your soul is calling you to do. It is your responsibility to serve in the way that you're being led to serve. Trust in that. And just don't worry about the climb up the mountain. It's a great journey when you're on the right path. So until next time, this is Coach Tamara from Wealthy Woman Every Day, and see you soon. Bye for now. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you for